This house costs over €1 million and the front door opens straight into a toilet. This one also costs over $1 million, and I just know that the balcony is never going to get used. A home is one of the biggest expenses we can have in our lives. Even if it costs over $1 million and looks beautiful, it can still be incredibly uncomfortable to live in, because a lot of the layout simply ignores how us humans like to move, how we behave, how we respond to light in different shapes. If this is the first time you're seeing my face, I'm Bai-xu, a licensed architect, and I think about floor plans like a lot. So in this video, I want to show you some of the most common layout mistakes I see again and again, and of course give you answers about how to fix them so you can create a home that you really love and feels good to live in. When designed well, a staircase can be such an interesting, dynamic and sociable space in the home. It can be where your pets watch you when you're pulling into the driveway, where your children comfortably sit down and learn how to tie their shoelaces, where you make a grand entrance from above so people can be wowed by your outfit. And when it's not so well thought through, it can so easily become a dark, depressing circulation space that just happens to take you from floor A to floor B. Let me tell you how to design the staircase that makes it special and part of your home. You should let it be visible and not hidden away behind solid walls and doors. Try to use open materials that allows light to come through, balustrades, partial walls, or even cutouts. Here you can clearly see the difference between a staircase that is completely enclosed in walls and one where there's more visible connection. It feels more like a part of the space. The first few steps are especially important, so you have to widen the steps, flare them out, let them double as seats. And you really want to avoid turning it into a dark tunnel. So if it is next to a wall, could you place windows near the landing or along the stair run? If you don't have an enclosed foyer, you're basically exposing all of the inside of your home directly to the outside of the front door. That's why I think if you have the space in your home, you should always build in a real foyer or entrance room. I mean, if we look at this floor plan, we can see for all purposes that it has a massive open plan kitchen, living, dining, entrance area. So here are a couple of changes I would make to this property that I think would really improve it. First, I would add a wall here, so you create an enclosed foyer space. It doesn't have to be a dark, dingy space. You can put internal windows and glass doors in here to create a little bit of separation, but still allowing light to come through. I would actually also flare out the last few steps of the staircase and make it curve round a bit. But I think immediately you're creating more of a transition between the outside public space and your internal private home spaces. If you're limited by the square footage you can have your home, I think it's quite intuitive to say, oh, I sacrifice a bit of the circulation and entrance space so the rest of my home can feel bigger. To which I say, don't do this. The proportion of the entrance can set the tone for the rest of your house. So if you already feel like you're being really squeezed and squished when you enter the home, it doesn't matter how big and comfortable the rest of your house is, you're always going to have this lingering feeling. So you should allow at least 1.5 meters of clear space in your entryway. This is non-negotiable for comfort. So on the ground floor plan of this house, you can see that the entryway is really not the biggest. So here is what I would do to change the space. So first I would say that, is it necessary that we have this division between the staircase and the front door? So I would remove this wall, and this door here. So the staircase and the front door becomes a combined foyer space. And here we also have a super awkward room between the corridor and the toilet. It's a tiny space that feels so cramped and so useless. I would move the bathroom to this side and make this a walk-in closet where you could dump some heavy-duty items like your Hoover, big winter coats. And with a couple of small changes, you can see that the entire entrance area now feels so much more open. You don't feel cramped. Nobody is going to be squeezing past you to get to the toilet, and you also see the staircase. It just makes so much more sense. Where you place doors in a room really matters because it defines the invisible paths people end up taking. One of the biggest mistakes I see being made in floor plans is putting doors in the middle of a room, creating a path which turns what essentially could be a really cozy, usable space into a corridor that nobody feels comfortable to sit in. Let's go back to the ground floor plan of this house because it is exactly what has happened here. The living room has 3 doors, all in kind of like a middle space of each wall. And if we draw in the circulation paths, we can see that now this room is cut into many small zones. And if we put the sofa in the middle, it will always feel really uncomfortable to sit in because you just feel like you're in the middle of a high traffic area. But if we were to move these two doors further down, closer to the corner, we end up with so much more uninterrupted, usable space. Always place doors near corners in small and mid-sized rooms. In rooms with multiple doors, keep them close together on one end to concentrate the movement, and make sure that you're leaving uninterrupted zones large enough for you to put furniture without creating paths that cut across the space. This rule works for almost any normal sized rooms. There are exceptions, of course. If the room happens to be a very large formal space, like a dining room with a table right in the middle, or a grand hall where you have multiple seating zones, then you can place doors in the middle where it feels so much more symmetrical and formal. The door swings open and bang, you see the toilet. Or worse, someone using it. It's super awkward. It's much better if you can open the bathroom door and you see like a beautiful vanity with a mirror reflecting your beautiful face back at you. So if you're creating a new bathroom or you have a chance to renovate your old one, you can change the layout, or you can even just switch around the direction of the door so it swings a different way. I've said this before in my previous videos and I will not stop saying it until it becomes common knowledge. And that is, if you want a room that you feel comfortable in and that your family would actually end up using, you need to give the room light from two sides. When people are presented with two rooms, one with light from one side and one that's lit bilaterally, people will consistently choose rooms where light is coming from two sides. It's a behavior pattern that's seen time and time again. So many homes nowadays are designed like boxes with holes, one window per room, light from a single direction. In real life, this room will feel a little bit off even if you don't quite know why. You can test this out for yourself. You can go to people's houses, offices, public spaces, and just see which room you feel better in. The most loved, used, and inviting rooms always have light that comes from two sides. If we were to be technical about it, it's probably because one-sided light creates harsh gradients where it's bright at the window and dim across the room, but two-sided light balances that contrast and reduces glare, and the room just feels a little bit more dynamic and a little bit more alive. So if you're building or renovating your home and you can put more windows in on multiple sides of your room, do it. You'll feel so much better. Here is a cantilevered balcony with no enclosure. You feel really exposed to the elements, to the sun, to the rain. You feel a little bit unsafe. Here's another balcony that's recessed into the building. It feels a lot more private, safe, and connected and sheltered. For balconies, we shouldn't think that it's a ledge out in the wind, but rather it's an outside room. Anything under 6 feet deep won't work. People can't gather, sit comfortably, or move around. It's too tight to furnish, too exposed to enjoy, and just too disconnected to feel like it's part of the home. So if you actually want to have a balcony that you feel comfortable using in your home, make it at least 6 feet deep. Make it semi-recessed into the building with some protection over it. You can also add screens for privacy and comfort. If you design it to be like a semi-outdoor room, then people will treat it as such. But if you design it like a shelf, then it's really just there for decoration. Some of you have asked me in the comments what softwares I use for my architecture and interior design work, and lately I've been using Rayon Design a lot, who also happen to be the sponsor of this video. So up until a couple of months ago, I was using a lot of AutoCAD, Vectorworks, and Rhino to do my 2D drawings. But honestly, ever since I found Rayon Design, I have not touched any of these old softwares. Rayon Design has a really sleek, clutter-free, clean interface, which doesn't really require you to have a super powerful computer or a long installation process. You can work online from your browser anywhere, and you can create a whole range of drawings. So whether I'm doing quick feasibility studies or construction drawings, I can control the level of detail really easily. And if one day I stop being such a loner and actually get some colleagues to share the workload, I can also invite them to work on the same canvas. In Rayon Design, you can use the in-app library, which has over 4,000 elevation top view blocks that's ready to drag and drop onto your drawings. I love this so much. I used to manually draw furniture blocks line by line from scratch because I just could not find some good ones online. But now all of these blocks exist in their library and they look so pretty, and then I just put it in and make everything look really pretty. I can also just like draw walls like this, and it automatically trims and merges. It also calculates the areas for me. It's so satisfying to use. Also, it's really, really affordable. So much more affordable than these legacy softwares. So you can try it out for free. The link is in my description, and yeah, hope you have fun.